Drive Thru Records, an independent label that distinguished pop punk and emo during the late 90s and early 2000s. Their legacy gave us bands like Newfound Glory, Dashboard Confessional, The Starting Line, Finch, Phoenix TX, and Alistair. It was the first label that felt like a brand. The red background with the yellow arrow pointing to the left was simplistic and recognizable. If you were an aspiring artist, you wanted to be signed by Drive Thru. The label felt like a sports team. Artists were similar, and you knew the style of music that you were getting into at a time when music wasn't as easy accessible as it is today. Instead, we played the waiting game. We waited for the train to go, or the bus to come, or the plane to go, or the mail to come. Wait, that's Dr. Seuss. We waited on the songs on TRL or the radio to play it, and if we were lucky, we remembered to record it on our home stereo. Everyone was just waiting. But once I was introduced to Drive Thru Records by Phoenix TX, who I had heard through Blink-182, finding bands on the label takes me back to a nostalgic place of flipping through the CD booklet, reading lyrics, and the thank you section. Curiosity caught the attention of who each band gave shouts out to, what bands I should check out based on their recommendations, and if they didn't thank the fans, then I was always a little irritated. Drive Thru Records was a staple during its time, and then, well, it kind of just disappeared. Music would live on though, and I would find the albums that I would enjoy and the bands who caught my ear. Spotify became a streaming service that allows us to listen to anything at any time, but without physical copies of the albums, I lost touch of where these bands came from and their labels. Then in 2022, I went and saw one of my favorite bands, 311 in Lexington, Kentucky. That night, Tropidelic opened for them and put on an amazing set. I found out that they were from the same city where I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. The lead singer, Matt Rhodes, attended Kent State University, where they would begin their journey. As a listener, the feeling of a band that gains traction while writing lyrics about places that I've been numerous times, like I-71 and Lorraine, made a connection with me. I had to know more about them, so I researched their music, listened to their albums, watched their live sets on YouTube, and it brought me back to that feeling again of being a kid and flipping through CD booklets. This got me excited about what I could find next, and what I found was my favorite new record label, Ineffable Records. Tropidelic helped me get into the label like Blink-182 got me into pop punk. And like Drive Thru Records, Ineffable has the roster of a label that leaves you wanting more. Bands like Little Stranger, Surfer Girl, Bumpin' Uglies, Ballyhoo, OAR, and The Movement are all incredible reggae pop punk bands that I have come to love as I have gotten older. Let's take a ride with Drive Thru and share these similarities with Ineffable Records and learn how they have taken over as an independent label on the reggae scene and compare it to how Drive Thru made their mark.
Man is born, man lives, man dies, and it's all vanity. And that's about the way it is with the merry-go-round. You get on.
Founded in 1996 by siblings Richard and Stephanie Rains, the pop-punk emo label became popular following the trend of pop-punk that rang through the scene, featuring Good Charlotte, Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, Saves the Day, Paramore, Alkaline Trio, and Sum 41. The difference being that Drive Thru's roster of bands made it feel like a family in the industry. Some live shows were hit or miss, bringing a sentimental experience that we all felt, like crashing shopping carts into the curb, buying energy drinks at 9:30 p.m., and walking out the door without a plan for the evening. The label created a brother and sisterhood of pop punk, not only for its artists, but for the fans as well. They recorded 5 DVDs that showcased life on the road, studio, and filming sets. This was the outreach then. No Instagram, no Snapchat, no GPS, just MapQuest. Just 6 dudes in a hatchback trying to backtrack to the last gas station.
Nice ride.
I'd like to highlight a few bands and discuss their influence on the scene, and even though they may not have released all their albums with Drive Thru, the importance is that it gave them their start. Let's begin by checking out a map of where these bands come from.
Give me the map, Scott. Give me the map, Scott!
Starting off with Newfound Glory, NFG from Coral Springs, Florida can be considered a top 3, 5, or even 10 artists of the scene depending upon who you ask. The single Hit or Miss has an opening eminent riff that can take you back in time instantaneously. With Jordan's high-pitched voice and the snare drum, oh man, do I miss the snare drum of early pop-punk days. Then Sticks and Stones came out, and the album helped them hit mainstream with the single My Friends Over You, where the melody hits you straight in the face with the lead guitar and the consistent rhythm. A song about teenage angst and choosing your friends over everything else. It was the perfect breakup song to get your anger out. And I took that personally. In the days of burning CDs, I once burned this song on a verbatim disc 18 times and gave it to my girlfriend at the time. Told her to listen to it, and that's how it ended. Not my finest moment, but hey, it's probably a breakup she'll never forget. If there was a band that defined pop punk and easycore, look no further than New Found Glory. Something Corporate came out of Orange County, California, and was led by Andrew McMahon, who also started Jack's Mannequin and now has his own band of Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. Something Corporate was different. They weren't my favorite, but I had friends that were obsessed with them and songs like Punk Rock Princess and If You See Jordan. Respect to the band for carrying around their 500-pound piano every day from city to city while touring. Phoenix TX out of Houston, Texas, the first band that was signed by Drive Thru Records. Mark Hoppus of Blink-182 appears in their video for All My Fault, a palm-muted skate pop punk anthem. They rose through the scene quickly and left abruptly. I wish they would have stuck around for more than their 2-album run, as their self-titled album and release had instant hooks like Surf Song, Jolly Green Dumbass, and Minimum Wage. Although I had the explicit version of the album, Minimum Wage always confused me as to why there was an edit in the second verse. Then, after 1,000 listens, I finally caught on to what they were saying. The follow-up to their self-titled album was Lechuza. To me, this was a masterpiece. Threesome was the perfect single. It was simple to play on guitar, like many pop-punk songs, but that's what made pop-punk, simplicity and degeneracy. Something Bad Is Gonna Happen is one of the heavier tracks on the album. It'll get the blood flowing. Ready to ride your dinos and Haros through the neighborhood at 3 a.m. while Will Salazar yells in your ear, "You wanna fuck shit up? Well, motherfucker, come on!" KDW has a distorted slide in the verse that throws you out to sea and then slingshots you back, while Tearjerker slows it down and describes the story of, well, you guessed it, a past relationship. Manufactured Inspirado speeds it back up with Salazar wanting a piece of the American dream, while Beating a Dead Horse describes the difficulties and tribulations that the band was going through at the time. And finally, a song for everyone. A nostalgic trip down memory lane when the only thing to our name was $26 and the keys to a Cadillac. Driving mindlessly through the night, this song made many burnt CDs in my era, and it typically was followed by Blink-182's Going Away to College. Those two songs and stories just seemed to go hand in hand. Phoenix TX would eventually break up, and Will Salazar would then form Denver Harbor, a one-and-done band, but the album was worth the listen. Phoenix TX would regroup and produce an EP in 2016 named Creep, and another single in 2025. If you're looking for a style similar to Phoenix TX, check out Middle Class Rut. They give off that vibe of me against the world with fast verses and catchy choruses. Finch, out of Temecula, California, a more post-hardcore pop-punk emo band, their first album, What It Is to Burn, is worth the listen. It was heavier than its contemporaries at the time and left its mark. Letters to You brought in a screaming hook that showcased their energetic stage presence. Growing up in suburbia, this is one of the first songs I learned on guitar, and to find out that it was recorded in drop D made me even cooler, bragging in my multicolored Civic to all my friends, stating, "Yeah, I can play both standard and drop D tuning." One summer afternoon, along with a few friends, we set up in the garage and played what sounded to us perfection of the cover of Letters to You, while the people in the neighborhood were probably thinking,
The hell is that noise?
The Starting Line, out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia has had its great share of music artists. My first video dived into the legend of G-Love and Special Sauce and their prominence in the reggae scene, which you can watch here. The Starting Line are back, releasing 2 singles in the summer of 2025 and a new album forthcoming. I highly recommend checking them out if you haven't already. Kenny Vasoli has grown up right in front of us. The lead singer and bassist started at 14, and his high-pitched voice has finally dropped, making a few mature-sounding vocals compared to his early days. Say It Like You Mean It was a pop-punk gem, beginning the album with Up and Go. The riveting choruses on Leaving, Hello Houston, and Decisions were perfect for the summer Warped Tour, and the ultimate love song of The Best of Me. An acoustic intro which blindsides its listeners with an arpeggio and palm-muted downstrokes. It's an essential song to any pop-punk listener in the early 2000s. They released Based on a True Story a few years later, and it didn't have the same success, but the other emos, myself included, are back in force and are excitedly awaiting the reunion and release of their new album. Don't roast me on it, but Walk the Moon at times can share a similar vibe to the starting line. Midtown, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Former Rutgers University students made a name for themselves before packing it up in 2005. Often praised for their first two albums, Save the World, Lose the Girl, and Living Well is the Best Revenge, their split EP with the band Millencolin released the singles Get It Together and You Should Know, which helped them gain recognition on the scene and provide a supporting act for Blink-182. Living Well is the Best Revenge peaked at number 90 on the 2002 Billboard charts. The production by Mark Trombino is flawless, as the guitar and drums can be clearly heard on their exceptional sophomore album. The dance rock band Cobra Starship is a descendant to Midtown, but it doesn't hold up to the same value to its roots. RX Bandits, Seal Beach, California. A little different vibe as Drive Thru Records incorporated ska into the punk mix. The lead vocalist and guitarist attended the same high school as ska bands Real Big Fish, Save Ferris, and the Scholars. Their single Analog Boy has a smooth and quiet intro in 3/4 time, and then the beat kicks in with alternates between 4 and 5 bar phrases, an amalgam that seems to work effortlessly. Many listeners jumped on board to the album Progress, 14 tracks of ska, reggae, pop punk, and progressive rock. If there was a band that would be seamless fit to Ineffable Records, it would be the RX Bandits. I Am the Avalanche, Brooklyn, New York. I'm going to be honest here, I've never listened to an album by them. However, I will give them props because they are still on the scene today, and when one of my favorite lead singers / guitarist, Anthony Ranieri of Bayside, has collaborated with them, then they deserve the credit. The Early November, New Jersey. Like I Am the Avalanche, a band that I didn't get into all that much. If I'm missing something about these two, drop a comment and let me know what I should listen to. Census Fail, Ridgewood, New Jersey. Finally, a band out of New York / New Jersey that I did listen to. Dan Trapp, like Kenny Vasoli of the Starting Line, got his start at 14 years old as the band's drummer. Their first EP, From the Depths of Dreams, was a success. Census Fail took off on the local scene after grinding out any gig that they could get. Churches, skate parks, clubs, you name it. Their hard work earned them tours with The Used, Millencolin, The Starting Line, and Finch, and they've continued staying relevant today. If anyone is looking for a 3-album run with similar sounds and vibes, then put on the Census Fail album, Let It Enfold You, followed by Brand New's Deja Entendu, and finish it off with Thursday's Full Collapse. It'll bring back your most memorable breakups and teenage edginess. Alistair, Chicago, Illinois. Is there a more popular song for suburban kids than Somewhere on Fullerton that wasn't written by Newfound Glory, Good Charlotte, or Blink-182? Last Stop Suburbia was pop punk at its purest. Catchy choruses, easy sing-alongs, and loud-driven guitars. This is an album that is a must-listen for the pop punk aficionados. Scratch, Radio Player, Overrated, all help keep this album on repeat. The band would eventually break up and start the band Get Go, which combined members of Homegrown and Mest, which would soon then dissolve. If I could compare Alistair to any band on Ineffable Records, I'd recommend checking out Ballyhoo. Dashboard Confessional, Boca Raton, Florida. If you want emo, you got it. If you want to know what your girlfriend is listening to, you can probably find it here too. Dashboard blew up quick and stole many teenage hearts. They always annoyed me, but I respect their work. In a crazy comparison, I put them in the fame category alongside of Mumford & Sons. Bands that blew up and were on the radio stations everywhere, from pop punk, rock, adult contemporary, anything that played music. The world couldn't get enough of these bands, and they were shoved down our ears. You either loved them, or you were just kind of like, alright. Lastly, I'll throw out a few other popular bands on the label, like The Movie Life from Long Island, Halifax from Thousand Oaks, California, and Homegrown from Orange County, California. There were more than 30-plus bands that got their start off of Drive Thru Records before disappearing, but their importance to pop punk and nostalgia still rings today. Their roster, although short-lived, made an impact like very few independent labels.
Damn. End of an era.
As we progress from pop punk, rock, and emo of Drive Thru Records, we transform to the new label that is taking over the reggae scene. Listeners have many paths, rabbit holes, and avalanches that help them define their music taste. For me, reggae and rock is the perfect blend. 311 spent years at the top of my most played artists, but over the past 5 years, that has all changed thanks to Ineffable. Let's bring back the world map and check out where these bands from Ineffable Records come from.
Making movies, making songs, and fighting round the world.
Tropidelic, Cleveland, Ohio. As mentioned previously, Tropidelic got me into the label, but they also helped me discover new artists that I've never heard of before and turn them into my favorite bands. Their live show is loaded with energy, and set lists include full songs, while others transition into medleys, sometimes back to back to back, only playing 90 seconds of each song. I wish more bands would do this, though. For me, even if we only get a verse or chorus of a song, sometimes that's all you need to keep the show fresh and the crowd dancing to as many songs as possible. I'll dive deeper into Tropidelic in another video, so for now check them out on tour, watch their live Bunbury set on YouTube, listen to their albums, and join the Tropaholics Facebook group page. In the meantime, here's a few songs that'll help you get started. If you want something fast and up-tempo, listen to The Line. Want to relive your life 20 years ago? Sunny Days or Busted Kids is your way to go. Need a positive message? Affirmations. How about a message in adversity? Basement Floor. Need to change your lifestyle from your past mistakes? Bad One. If you're seeking something contemplative and meditative, perhaps channeling your inner monk, and want to learn deep Gregorian chant like tones, check out Leviathan. Give their catalog a listen. It won't disappoint. You might even end up putting salt and pepper on your mac and cheese. Surfer Girl, Orange County, California. Carter Reeves serves as the band's heartbeat and showcases the finest dance moves on the entire label. Along with playing rhythm guitar, you can find him spinning and bouncing around stage left to right with his charismatic dance moves and vocals. His stage presence is worth the price of admission alone. Mix it with his captivating voice where he blends singing and rapping, their reggae vibe sound sets the table for a night of boogieing and waltzing. Check out their live set from Cali Roots Festival or their Sugar Shack sessions. Carter began his music career with his former band, Air, or AER, while living in Massachusetts, a duo that hit #1 on the iTunes hip-hop chart. The band would then split, and Carter would move to California, where he would establish himself as a solo artist with standout tracks like Alone Time, Bittersweet, and Don't Care, which helped him get signed with the Ineffable Records. Surfer Girl has 3 albums, Sunrise, Noon, and Sunset. I'd put Sunrise in the S tier category. The songs 5 Temptations, Doghouse, 2, and Evil are all perfect pop reggae sing-along songs to kick off the album. While on Sunset, they introduced their influences of the Beach Boys with the Sunset intro before going into the single of Skydiving, an upbeat summer vibe to get you grooving. Their collaborations with the Elevators, Dirty Heads, Tropidelic, and Collie-Buddz are also worth a listen. When the time comes, I'll give a full breakdown on the journey of Carter Reeves and Surfer Girl. Little Stranger, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This jolly duo of John and Kevin Shields have a supplemental high-energy stage vibe. John is a master looping artist, carrying the beat on guitar and drums, while classic Kevin serenades with sarcastic vocals I'm still trying to decipher. They complement each other very well as their harmonies and magnetic choruses are bliss. They recently released a cover of Brain Stew by Green Day, and it's a fascinating cover. Covers can be difficult, especially transitioning punk to reggae, but Little Stranger make it work. Trip Around Saturn is a marvelous album from pin drop to finish. Hollywood Knot is their rendition of Reciting with Gwen Stefani, stating, "We could get an apartment in the heart of the city. The location is great, but the people are shitty." A slight jab that's all in fun from an East Coast hip-hop reggae band describing Los Angeles. They have collaborations with Jarve, Wax, Tropidelic, and Del the Funky Homo Sapien. My 2 favorite collabs come with the Elevators. The song I'm Fine is superb as it explains how we all hide our true feelings when asked, and the general response is to say we are fine. A simple song with a great message and positive spirit. Finally, the song All Her Favorite Songs is another gem. Here they represented song titles of their influences from Bob Marley, The Beatles, Outkast, Shaggy, Nelly, Smash Mouth, Eve 6 to the Beastie Boys. A modest Dog Days of Summer hit that is sure to keep your attention and reminiscing on the memories of the first time you heard that song. The Elevators, Marshfield, Massachusetts, and The Movement, Charleston, South Carolina. Both of these bands were under my radar, but they gained traction with not only their solo work, but their collaborations that they've had with bands on the scene and the label. The Elevators are like the favorite cousin. When listening to the top 5 songs of an artist on Ineffable, the Elevators always seem to have a collaboration with them, and they are all hits. Both the Movement and the Elevators signed with Rootfire Cooperative, a subsidiary of Ineffable Records, providing interest-free loans and label services that allow each artist 100% ownership of their music and to distinguish their own label. Another reason why Ineffable has become as popular as they are today. They take risks on bands, and when they hit, everyone wins. It's a great business model to keep a family of artists together, and we as fans don't have to throw out the sellouts referendum that many like to display. In 2016, Rootfire produced the Movement album Golden, which hit number 2 on the reggae charts, and assisted with the Elevators on their second album, Defy Gravity. Both bands have a plethora of albums worth the listen. Again, what I like about Ineffable Records is that it has taken me 3 years to get through all of Tropidelic, Little Stranger, and Surfer Girl, and now I have the Movement and the Elevators to add to that playlist. If there's anything you think needs a listen now, send it in the comments below. Let's pull in 3 artists from the Northeast. And when I think of reggae and hip-hop, Vermont and Maine don't come to mind, but damn do they have jackpots in Jarve, Mahali, and Coyote
Well,
Island.
what street are you on?
Okay, I'm on First and First. How can the same street intersect with itself? It must be at the nexus of the universe.
Mahali, out of Vermont, has a smooth sound that makes it easy to dance to. His album Before the Dream has made waves in the scene with his catchy tone and voice and his eclectic fashion design. Coyote Island, out of Portland, Maine, I wouldn't put them in the reggae genre, but they fit with the label. They kind of give me a Bahamas type vibe. Slow, rhythm, and bluesy, mixed with folk and excellent vocals. They're simple and easy to sway to. And finally, Jarve. Technically not on Ineffable Records, but he tours with the label often. He's a single hip-hop artist. He has an ascendant adequacy on the mic with his divine technique and has worked hard the past 2 years to gain popularity in the scene, increasing his Spotify followers from 20,000 to 175,000. Check out his songs, Definitions of a Rap Flow, and Rap 101 if you really want to hear how talented his rhymes are. I would also highly recommend his album, The Amalgam. Denim, out of Orange County, California, released Slum Beach Denny during COVID-19 when we were all trapped inside our homes, and this album is a summertime jam. His 808s, hip-hop, reggae, and rock influence from Sublime to Led Zeppelin can be heard in all his songs. His cover of Bad Fish is unquestionably the best remake available, and he would fit wonderfully alongside both Ineffable and Drive Thru Records. His new album, Hot and Glassy, has been a staple summer album of 2025, and if you haven't listened to him yet, I highly suggest it. We'll never get a return of Bradley Nowell, but Denim is the closest we have to it. Finally, let's knock out the remaining artists I'd like to highlight. Shwazy, out of Malibu, California, Moon Taxi of Nashville, Tennessee, Bikini Trill of Los Angeles, and Aurora Wave, formerly Ayaterra, out of California. Next are 3 longtime bands out of Maryland, such as OAR, Ballyhoo, and the Bumpin' Uglies, which have all shared the stage with 311. Bumpin' Uglies and Ballyhoo can be bonded on both record labels as they share sounds similar to the RX Bandits, including punk rock, reggae, and pop punk, while OAR has their own jam session atmosphere that fit nicely on the label. And lastly, the real OGs, Humphreys McGee, out of Notre Dame, Indiana. Again, not a place I expected music to come from, but it fits them perfectly. I never got on the jam bandwagon, but I know they're respected throughout the scene. I skipped over many reggae bands, also signed to Ineffable Records, but check out their artists and find out the music that you like. Going down a rabbit hole of new music is always an experience of happiness and giddiness, and it's a time you'll always remember. Both Drive Thru and Ineffable have fostered strong communities with their fan base. Drive Thru had its own Warped Tour stage, whereas Ineffable has their own venues and festivals. Street teams helped out big for Drive Thru. These passionate fans helped distribute promotional materials such as flyers, CDs, and posters. They were on the ground at shows, passing them out, stapling them to the back of tack boards at the grocery store and around campuses. However, the most effective has always been at the urinal. Think about it. Standing there for 45 seconds, staring at the wall in front of you. You can't look left or right, so you read what's in front of you over and over again. It etches in your mind. It's an authentic way of getting as many people interested in the band as they could. Although unpaid, this helped bands grow, and in return, the street team would receive merch, concert tickets, autographed CDs, you name it, for their hard work. Then came the MySpace wave, where teens everywhere expressed their musical taste when friends and family visited their page. Bands could upload songs, users could listen, share, and add their own favorites, and fans also had a direct connection with the band for the first time. Magazines were on their way out the door, and enthusiasts could finally reach out to their role models for the first time through blogs and comments. The marketing was free, and many of us could view the updated tour schedule or latest news directly from the band. It was revolutionary and unique. The top 8 was a feature to show off your closest friends, and users could also add bands to this list, which would in turn help the musicians gain leverage and popularity. While MySpace had its streaming service, it was limited, whereas the popular peer-to-peer networks of Napster, Kazaa, and BearShare would eventually kick off the internet era, and we could begin to download our own music for free and then burn them onto a CD. We didn't know it at the time, but these P2P networks helped users learn how to search and download the right songs. You could download crappy audio at 96 kbps, and if you were lucky, you could get the highest quality of 320, but most of us downloaded at 128. We also relied on certain users to be online, and if you were downloading an album, which was at 200 megabytes on dial-up internet, the frustration and anxiety kicked in with a crawling status bar of a download rate of 0.014. We also fell for the traps of what we thought was a new song. I don't know how many times I was fooled trying to download Blink-182's new release and turned out to be the song Why by Reset, which is actually a great tune by the lead singer Pierre Bouvier of Simple Plan.
I don't care, said Pierre. I'm from France.
Other times the file didn't work. You didn't download the right file, or you got Trojans, worms, ransomware, spyware, malware. We were pretty much weared out.
Nope. My friend Harry and I are saving up our money to open our own pet store.
That's nice.
I got worms.
I beg your pardon?
That's what we're going to call it. I got worms. We're going to specialize in selling worm farms. You know, like ant farms.
Next came the video game soundtracks. A lot of us played video games we didn't even like, but the soundtrack was killer, so it kept our attention. We all know Tony Hawk Pro Skater was a big influence, but besides that, Drive Thru had songs on games such as Burnout, NHL 2K, ATV Off-Road Fury, Big Air Freestyle, Gran Turismo, Surf's Up, MLB The Show. We didn't have the capability of connecting our Spotify to our gaming system, and we were forced to listen to these songs over and over again, which ingrained them as our core memories. Superman by Goldfinger is by far the most notorious known song, and it's because of the demo many of us received when we ordered a 2-topping extra cheese pizza from Pizza Hut. The famous line, "Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up," is even used as an homage to Goldfinger on the Bumpin' Ugly song, High Hopes. For Ineffable Records, the medium has changed, but the same premise still stands. Instead of DVDs, we now have shorts and live sets at our disposal. Bands will promote their shorts in story format, let fans know when they're coming to their city, record live performances with album quality audio, and the street teams are digitized and are no longer passing out CDs at a gas station. Reddit has AMAs, or Ask Me Anythings, with the band. Facebook has groups maintained by the band and randomly chime in on topics. Matt Rhodes of Tropodelic is very active on Facebook and has answered fans' posts and shared stories, while their drummer, Rex Larkman, is oftentimes creating their shorts. Other bands use YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and X or Twitter for news and updates. These avenues skyrocket their visibility compared to the on-the-ground format, and it gives us a sense of identification of who each individual is. With a dying attention span, shorts provide a quick moment in time for an ad we don't mind watching. Jarv does an excellent job of showcasing this here.
I hope the kid who wrote my name in the entry bathroom has the funds to buy a ticket and come see me rap soon. Minneapolis, I'ma be there doing some rhyming. Buy a vinyl, that would be tight. Maybe I'll sign it. Jarv in big letters with impeccable technique. King Green and Damn Skippy also dialecting. If you bought a ticket, I'd be ever so friendly. February 16th, 7th Street entry. Eventually, suddenly.
Video games haven't been as kind these days on the soundtracks for Ineffable, but there are other mediums that are used. Little Stranger appears in the Madden 26 soundtrack, while Modest Yahoo was featured in NHL 2K6, and his song One Day was a feature for the 2010 Olympics. OER has been used on Verizon commercials, during NFL broadcasts, as well as the Masters, and they also caught a resurgence in 2018 when many viewers Googled OER only to find out who they were and why Russia was using this acronym for their athletes. Cashed Out is in a Hyundai commercial, while Moon Taxi's song All Day, All Night is featured on a McDonald's commercial for their all-day breakfast. They've also partnered with Jeep, Microsoft, BMW, and sports broadcasts. Collie Buds does a promotional video for the Bermuda Department of Tourism, and the beer, cannabis, and wine scene has been tackled by the Bumpin' Uglies with their Mid-Atlantic dub lager through RAR, Real Revival Brewing, and the Elevators have their own Cabernet called Criminal, and their Elevated Roots, which is a cannabis line. Tropidelic also has a beer called Los Colores of the Brew Kettle in Ohio, and they've also performed at Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio after a Guardians game. Tropidelic even has its own line of candles and scents from Bed Bath & Beyond. Well, kind of. I'll let the boys tell you their story.
Smells like I dropped out of college.
It's more like truck stop casino.
Now I'm getting more I ruined a couple healthy relationships in pursuit of a dream.
Self-deprecation with some hashish.
I'm getting that now. 9 dudes, 3 days, 1 shower.
Sandals from a dollar store.
It's all in there.
All right, inevitably it is Planet Fitness locker room in New Jersey.
I love it.
It's poison, don't buy it.
Ineffable artists are like an extended family, and they are always collaborating with one another. Tropidelic helped me discover Little Stranger, who then introduced me to the Elevators, Mahali, and the Movement, while Surfer Girl introduced me to Emily Brimlow and Swayze. It's an easy introduction for checking out additional artists that you may not be familiar with and are also on the label. One song can put you back in time to a specific chapter in your life, whether it's an accomplishment, an inside joke, or overcoming adversity. Ineffable and Drive Thru will be important forever on my end because they demonstrate a grassroots vision of starting from the bottom and establishing a successful quest to the top. They share similar music vibes. There's a lot of pop punk on Ineffable. It's just not the main driving force. I suggest hopping in your ride, cruising off into the sunset, and whether you are a first-time listener to Ineffable or Drive Thru, turn it on, check it out, and turn it up.